What is up, investors, and welcome back to the Everything Crypto Show. I am Everything Crypto, and I am here to give you the latest and most important news in the markets, deep dives on projects we see as having huge potential, as well as technical analysis on all coins featured on the channel. Now, as always, please remember that nothing on this channel is financial advice, but rather my own thoughts, opinions, and research that I have compiled and broken down into a more digestible format for you, the viewer. So all you got to do is sit back, relax, grab that Friday morning cup of coffee, and enjoy the content. And on that note, if you guys do enjoy the content, please consider supporting myself and the channel by hitting that sub and like button, by showing some love to the Twitter page. And we also have launched the Telegram channel. If you're watching this from your desktop, you can go ahead and scan this code, or you can find the links to both down in the description below. And the reason that we do use the Twitter and Telegram is because we believe that full transparency should come at no additional cost. That is why we do not have any paid groups to try and milk more money from our viewers. But it is the case that, when we're just making quick moves in the market, whether it is a trade or just rapid firing our thoughts out there, we cannot always hop on YouTube and update the community immediately, and that is exactly what we use this Twitter and Telegram for. So for example, I actually did tweet here on May 2nd that I had bought some more CRO at 0.275 cents off the emotional overreaction from the Visa news, and then because I had caught wind of the good news with the Visa revisions early, we did actually buy in for the trade as we expected some money to be made on the bounce. So I did tweet exactly when I entered as well as when I did exit on the trade following the quick pump from the Fed meeting, and I even break down my reasoning for taking this profit as Bitcoin struggled to break 40K and Ethereum struggled to break 3K. And by taking profit, I mean that I just pulled out my principal and kept the free CRO, as my long-term bag is never for sale and I will always take some free CRO. But yeah, that is just an example of why we actually do recommend following us on Twitter and Telegram if you do want to keep up with all the moves that we are making in the market. Now, with that note, we are going to get right into today's content, as we now have the second set of Visa revisions, okay? So the CEO, Chris Marzalek, and the rest of the Crypto.com team have been listening to the community about card rewards, and he says that they are making a few more updates based on our feedback. The process has been far from ideal, but it is important to take your feedback into account and deliver an attractive yet balanced offering. And what they have done here is they've actually gone ahead and increased the Ruby Steel cashback from 0.5% to 1%. And I think this is a really good change, as, even after the first set of Visa changes that they did make, it still did appear like Ruby Steel cardholders really got the shaft with these changes and even with the upgrades. So to see them increase it here from 0.5% to 1%, in my opinion, is a very fair ground for the Ruby Steel card. The Jade and Indigo cashback being increased from 1.5% to 2%. So another 0.5% being added to both of these card tiers, which I do think is more than fair. And here's actually a big one. So current card rewards will be locked in for 6 months if you restake before June 1st, 2022. So that means that if you actually are able to restake for your 180-day period before this June 1st date hits, then you actually will be able to receive the old benefits of the card pretty much until the end of the year, which in my opinion is definitely a good compromise. That gives you a lot of time to continue enjoying these benefits, and then you will not be prone to these new rates until pretty much the beginning of 2023, or give or take December. And they're also waiving the card upgrade fee of $50 if you do want to go ahead and upgrade your card right now and actually lock in for 6 months to obtain the old rates on the Visa. So I actually am a very big fan of these changes, to be honest. Even on the initial nerf to the Visa, while I was upset, I was never once bearish on CRO, and we did talk here multiple times on the channel about trying to put the emotions aside and actually just focus on the long-term value that CRO has to offer outside of the Visa. But if they do want to continue to make this Visa more and more attractive, then hey, I'm all for it. So now once again, we are looking, especially with the Jade and Indigo Visa, what we're looking at here is a Visa offering you 4% per annum on your CRO stake, as well as 2% cashback and all the other perks, the free Netflix, the free Spotify, and then the Icy White and Rose Gold, we are looking at 8% per annum on your CRO stake, as well as 3% and 5% per annum, with all of those other benefits included. So as I stated, before any of these revisions were made to the initial changes, I remained bullish on CRO the whole time, as I believe that CRO GameFi is coming soon. The Crypto.org chain staking is currently offering a 12.4% yield, and the Cronos chain is in its infancy stage, is already 9th place in total value locked across all DeFi chains. Now, I do see the Visa as more of a beginner customer acquisition strategy, where people kind of hop on with the Visa and then get more involved in these other platforms as they learn more about the Cronos ecosystem. So once again, if they do want to continue to improve that Visa and make it more attractive for beginners, I do like this as a customer acquisition sort of investment. However, long term, I do think that these are some of the areas where CRO will present that long-term value. And honestly, we never know with this Crypto.com team what they have coming up next. Like a year ago, we wouldn't have even expected that CRO would have its own DeFi chain, Cronos. So, I mean, this team is always making moves, and I do look forward to seeing what they have planned next. But speaking of the Cronos chain, this is what we are also going to be talking about in today's video. As the CEO also tweeted, he's been real busy on Twitter these past couple of days. He tweeted that with Cronos transactions growing at 40 to 50% month over month, this important infrastructure upgrade will give the network more scaling headroom. And what he is referring to here is the Cronos chain upgrade to version 0.7.0. Hugens. I don't even want to pretend like I know how to say that, but it's planned for May 10th, and it marks a major milestone in the evolution of the Cronos mainnet beta. After extensive testing and dry runs by chain validators, the upgrade will pave the way for accelerated growth on Cronos. So I did go ahead and actually read this longer document here that does break down all of the testnet upgrade features in detail. And this upgrade is something that I am definitely looking forward to, as it actually will really help with scalability and interoperability of the Cronos chain, which are two very important things for any DeFi chain to take into consideration. So I'm going to run you guys through this document, let you know what you need to know and why this upgrade is such a big deal for the Cronos chain. So for starters here, they are going with the introduction of the fee market, as currently on the mainnet, transaction fees are calculated with a fixed formula of gas by the transaction times 0.000001 CRO. Besides, the way that Cosmos SDK implements transaction fees have some limitations, such as validators that may be using a different value, and what this causes is transaction spam with zero fees and other limitations for integration of web tools, as the base value here of the 0.00001 CRO depends on the node local setting. So with this new version going into effect, the fee market module introduced a dynamic fee structure, and a common base fee will be calculated dynamically at each block for the next block, depending on network utilization, so basically volume, and enforced in the whole network. Now, what this is very similar to and what it is actually designed to support is Ethereum's EIP 1559 transaction format, which will first of all make Cronos integration simpler for wallets and decentralized applications, as it will be much easier for them to actually integrate this EIP 1559 fee market module into their platforms, as they have already done so with Ethereum. So this is once again will actually expand Cronos' potential to interact with different wallets and decentralized apps, and the module's formula to calculate the base fee at each block is also basically very similar to the formula that is used by EIP 1559. And this means that transaction fees will increase when the network is congested, and they will decrease when the network has spare capacity. So we are no longer going to see a flat rate. Rather, we will see the fee increase when the network is congested, and we will see the actual cost decrease in gas fees when the network is not as busy. And some people might see this as a negative. Some people may see it as a positive. I personally just see it as a necessity for Cronos to be integrated onto more platforms, as well as to really help push those transactions through when there is a bunch of volume on the Cronos chain. And that's actually a big reason that I believe the Cronos chain did go down this past week. We saw it was down for like 48 hours. And with the introduction of this EIP 1559 transaction format, it will actually help Cronos be able to handle more transactions at the cost of maybe a couple extra cents in CRO. I mean, the transactions are already so cheap on the Cronos chain that I would rather they introduce this dynamic fee structure and ensure that the Cronos chain can remain scalable and not crash when there is high volume. Now, the one thing they are doing here in contrast with the EIP 1559 code for Ethereum is that the fee market module implemented on Cronos does not burn any of the base fee. So for those of you that know this EIP here, what it actually does is it burns the ETH as the gas fee. Now on the Cronos chain, they are not doing that. Rather, they are using the base fee and the priority fee to be collected by validators. Now the second thing they are doing here is refactoring the EVM's state DB implementation. And this upgrade right here also comes with the aim of significantly improving the performance of contract execution, as it greatly increases the speed of execution of message calls and of assessing deep context stacks, meaning that execution of these message and contract calls is up to 300 times faster than before, and the speed of emitting logs has been doubled. And in simpler terms, what this improvement allows for is a larger volume of transactions to be processed within each block, increasing the overall efficiency and scalability. And this problem was actually described in a previous post on the forum, where a contract call which does lots of message calls is too slow to execute. And they say here that, as profiled in the issue page, the bottleneck is the slowness of deep context stack. There is no easy way around it other than to refactor the state DB to use journal logs like what Go Ethereum does, thus this big code refactoring. And that is exactly what they are describing in the second piece of the upgrade. And now the third piece of this Cronos update, and the one that I personally am the most excited for, we actually spoke about this all the way back here when we discussed the 2022 roadmap, and this is something I have been waiting patiently on, is the Gravity Bridge. So they are finally preparing for Gravity Bridge support, as the open source project aims to create secure, decentralized connections between Cosmos chains and Ethereum chains. It is designed to run on the Cosmos hub, allowing fungible asset transfer between the two ecosystems simply and efficiently. And why this is such a big deal here? Well, for example, the Gravity Bridge will actually enable the transfer of ERC20 assets issued on Ethereum to a Cosmos-based chain and then back to Ethereum, which will greatly increase the interoperability of Cronos SDK technology. And the binaries of version 7.0 include changes that are required for the upcoming implementation of a public Gravity Bridge testnet on Cronos. And this is something I am really looking forward to. This is going to actually just allow so many more projects, so many more coins to actually be transferred over to the Cronos chain, which just opens up so many possibilities for the decentralized applications that can be built out on the Cronos chain using these different projects. And as we all know, Ethereum is obviously the biggest DeFi chain with over half of the market share. So creating this Gravity Bridge that will actually enable the transfer of ERC20 assets issued on Ethereum over to the Cronos chain is absolutely massive in my opinion, and something that we should be keeping an eye on. Now, in terms of other improvements and small fixes, they did actually implement a fix in Ethermint to fix a WebSocket bug and add WebSocket integration tests and subscription test cases. And this change meets the development needs of the community, given that previously there were no integration tests available for the WebSocket RPC endpoint. Now, another fix addresses frequent, that's not really important by the way, you don't need to know that unless you are building out on the Cronos chain. But the more important one here that I actually think we should pay attention to is the fix addresses of a frequent report in the past weeks that MetaMask kept failing to send transactions in the fee market format on the Cronos testnet. And the root cause of this issue was that MetaMask does not add any buffer and use the base fee specified in the block, and the past temporary solution was to actually increase the estimation by a small buffer value. Now, from this testnet version, the team has built a buffer in ETH gas price response, so developers do not need to implement manual workarounds to increase the base fee value of transactions. So This is definitely a big upgrade in my opinion, as stated by Chris Marzalik. It is really important that as the Cronos is growing transactions at 40 to 50% month over month, that we do need to really focus on the scaling and the interoperability of this platform. Now, once again, the upgrade that I am most excited here for is the Gravity Bridge that will allow the transfer of these ERC20 assets originating on Ethereum to a Cosmos-based chain and then back to Ethereum. And they do say that it will be coming within Q1 to Q2 of 2022. And this is definitely something that I will be looking forward to. And we can actually see here on their roadmap, we can actually use this to hold them accountable for all the things that they have promised at the beginning of this year. And so far, it does look like they are making good on these promises. And this is what I like to see from projects that I am invested in. So if we could see this Gravity Bridge come out in the first half of the year, I would expect quite a nice, actually, boom in total value locked on the Cronos chain. And just before we wrap it up, we are going to take a quick look at the Cronos chain right now, as it has really gone through a rough time these past couple of weeks, not only because of the significant drop in CRO on this Visa reaction, but actually the formerly biggest DEX on the Cronos chain, Finance, did also go through a recent rug pull with a project they allowed onto their DEX. We broke that all down on the channel, so check out the most previous Cronos weekly market update if you want the breakdown on that. However, they did also actually suffer another hack yesterday. Now, it is important to note that Finance will be reimbursing everybody that was affected by the hack, and we will break this down more in the next weekly Cronos market update. But just to put things into perspective, we are at levels right now on the Cronos chain. I mean, we were just here on March 16th of 2022, okay? So we are only back to March levels here after all of this FUD that has come out, and I do expect that moving forward, if we do continue to get that good news, as people finally begin to let their emotions settle from all of this bad news that has come out over the past couple of weeks, and obviously provided that the overall crypto market does not just completely tank, then I do expect that we will reach this 4 billion level in total value locked again, and onwards and upwards. And to put things into perspective one more time, we have been a public chain here, an open source chain, for 5 months, and Cronos is sitting pretty in 9th place with about a 1 billion lead over Arbitrum in 10th place, and it is actually about 1 billion behind 8th place being Polygon. So I would expect in the coming months that if the Cronos chain can actually get back to that 4 billion to that $5 billion mark, I'm looking for Cronos chain by the end of the year essentially to be in 6th place and looking to take out Solana next on their hit list. And I know there are a lot of people that are fans of Solana, and I as well am not bearish on Solana at all, but it does not seem to be the most reliable network, and I would like to see the Cronos chain actually go ahead and start to compete with Solana for that total value locked ranking. But with that said, guys, we did just want to make this video real quick to update you on the 2 significant improvements that are coming to both the Crypto.com Visa and the Cronos chain in the upcoming weeks. Once again, I love and appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in and dedicating your time on a Friday to watching this video. If you made it to the end, you are an absolute champion for soaking in all this knowledge, and I'll be back at you guys tomorrow with more content. Peace out for now.